It is time for a rankings update at the quarterback position right now on Fantasy Football Today Express. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. Adam Azer and Heath Cummings here after the NFL draft. What do the quarterback rankings look like? You know, sometimes, I don't know if this ever happens to you when you're hosting FFT Dynasty. After the show, you have this moment where you go, man, I really should have asked that question. I can't believe I didn't. And that's happening at the beginning of the sentence. It happened for me. So here's the question I should have asked on the long show that we just did. Where's Cam Ward in your rankings?
Redraft?
Yeah.
He is currently QB 24.
Okay. You had Bryce Young as a riser. Would you rather have Cam Ward or Bryce Young this year?
I would definitely rather have Bryce Young this year, and I would rather have Bryce Young. I think I'll take Cam Ward in Dynasty, but it's really close.
Oh, wow, I'm surprised it's close. Okay, so Cam Ward, I knew that he wasn't going to be super high in the rankings, so that's obviously the genius I am why I didn't ask.
Well, I was actually wanting to ask, I'm glad that you asked that because I think you're probably the Cam Ward guy.
Agree, yeah.
Like when I look at him, I really have a hard time seeing him as like producing as a top 12 quarterback. He's going to run like Lawrence and Mahomes probably.
Hoping.
Like maybe 200 to 300 yards rushing per season.
Yeah.
And he's got Calvin Ridley and a lot of question marks at wide receiver. He's not as good of prospect as most of the recent number one overall quarterbacks. And a lot of them have struggled to reach the top 12. They populate my 13 through 15 in the rankings, I think, this year. So what's the upside case for Cam Ward?
It's not a huge upside case. It's like a Kirk Cousins upside case. I think that he can make spectacular plays, and they're going to have to draft someone next year or find a way to get an elite receiver on their team or a great receiver on their team. Obviously, no one's making a big upside case for him this year, but I think he has more rushing ability than what he showed. He just really likes to be a drop back passer. But yeah, I'll give him in the 250 range, just like you. It's not a super exciting upside case. I also don't think that super exciting upside case exists for Bryce Young personally.
Right.
So, but yeah, Ward can do spectacular things. Can he do it at this level? If he can, then maybe you've got a guy who could throw for a lot of touchdowns and be really good, but not this year. Trevor Lawrence is one of your rankings risers at quarterback. How far did you move him up?
He was outside of my top 20. He moved into the top 15 and is within a point per game of top 12. I think if Travis Hunter hits like we think he could, and the new offense is as good as we expect it to be, Trevor Lawrence could be that surprise top 8 quarterback this year, but it's going to take some things we've never seen from him, so you shouldn't draft him that high. A great guy to draft as your QB2.
Yeah, so that just applies to so many people, right? And how about Caleb Williams, who gets Loveland and Burden and new coach and new offensive line, all this stuff? Where's Caleb Williams for you now?
I actually have Williams 2 spots behind Lawrence in my projections. They're within 4 points for the entire season in the projections, though. And I think Caleb Williams has more upside and probably a better set of pass catchers, although Jacksonville's is elite also. So I'll go Williams 1 spot over Lawrence in the rankings.
Pedigree for those two guys, right? It's just hoping that they can reach their potential. At least with Lawrence, we've seen it in brief spurts, but not enough.
I mean, if you just look at the range in my projections from 13 to 18, and I know some of these guys people will have higher, maybe some of these guys have a little bit lower, but Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, Tua, Caleb Williams, Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert, I'll rank them in a little different order than that, but all those guys within a point per game in the projections, all those guys have the ability to be top 12 quarterbacks. Most of those guys have shown us that ability over a couple of guys over a full season, Kyler and Herbert, and Love. So like it's a really go play Superflex, guys.
Yeah, for sure. So where's Dak Prescott?
I actually still have Dak ahead of those guys. I am feeling less and less certain about that as the Cowboys continue to refuse to give him good weapons.
Yeah, really. Just Oh boy, they're just a boring team on paper. The Cowboys. I hope they throw the ball around enough where they put up some points. Let's take a quick break here, and we'll talk. I want to get your thoughts on Jordan Love. I know he was in that group, but we'll talk about him drafting Matthew Golden and what that means. We'll be right back on Fantasy Football Today Express. All right. So, did the Matthew Golden draft pick have any effect on your Jordan Love projections or rankings?
I don't think it really did, because he already had a great depth of weapons. And it does definitely give him more upside, because if Golden, the team's first round 1 wide receiver in forever, if he actually lives up to that and he is actually the wide receiver 1 in this offense and everybody gets knocked down a spot, then I think you see Jordan Love has a great receiving core and not just a collection of number 2s. I'm a little bit more optimistic about Golden, I think, just because I think if you're the Packers, you had to look at that roster and think we've already got at least 3 number 2 wide receivers, maybe 4. You don't use a first round pick on another number 2 wide receiver. That doesn't make any sense. You got 3 or 4 of that guy. So I'm hopeful that they view Golden as a true number 1.
Yeah, me too. And one last guy I think we have time for here would be Justin Fields. Okay, so they draft a right tackle in the first round, and I'm skeptical of rookie offensive tackles being really good. It's very rare. But if he is good, the Jets, honestly, I don't even know that we can say that their left tackle, Fashanu, is good. He didn't get a ton of work last year. His grades on PFF were fine. Not really, actually. They were like, I don't know, probably a little below average. But anyway, there's this thought that the Jets might have a pretty good offensive line. They've certainly invested a lot in it with early round picks. But then they get Mason Taylor as well. And we like Fields, and he doesn't, I don't know how much competition there is there for his job, but is he ahead of, it's kind of weird to think Justin Fields should be ahead of Caleb Williams with all the weapons that they have, and Williams being the first overall pick just a year ago. What do you think?
I do not have Fields ahead of Williams or Lawrence. Like that whole group that I read from 13 to 18 are ahead of Justin Fields. I'll probably have him ranked at 19 because of his upside. But I mean, you want to talk about just a barren cupboard. They're basically giving him the Dak Prescott treatment in terms of pass catchers. I think the battle for the number 2 wide receiver in Green Bay right now is between Allen Lazard and Josh Reynolds
in New York. Yeah.
In New York. So I'm pretty concerned about a very bad passing season from Justin Fields. And I'm just not quite as confident that he's going to score a bunch of rushing touchdowns. He should run for a lot of yards.
But he's never really had like great weapons, right? And he's always produced as a top 12 quarterback, basically, when he's been on the field. And unlike Dallas, I mean, Dallas did draft Tyler Booker in the first round, an interior offensive lineman, but then they didn't take an offensive player until round 5. They only had 3 picks in the first 2 days. The Jets did draft an offensive tackle and a tight end. So I guess that was why I was bringing him up. I was just looking for quarterbacks who had some infusion of offensive talent.
And I don't know, maybe Mason Taylor is going to be better as a fantasy producer than I expected. I think he's going to be a very good NFL tight end, but I don't really view him as someone who's going to elevate a quarterback or earn a lot of targets in an offense.
Yeah, as a rookie, yeah. All right, let's and I'm curious to know what you think about in Dynasty, but we'll find out on FFT Dynasty. You can listen to that. Thanks for watching and listening to FFT Express. Talk to you on Wednesday.